Hello everybody, my name is Kat Riches and I am also under the alias of Graceful Warrior 333. Welcome to my vlog. Now full disclosure, I'm not very tech savvy. I don't really know what I'm doing. I have been in my head about doing this from the moment someone suggested I do it because, well no, I don't have a way of editing videos or doing this or doing this. You know what? I'm now on month 3 of my trip and I've been writing it down, obviously, but I just decided to rip the band-aid off. So here I am in Cabo Verde, which, like I said, we're on more than month 3, month 6, and I'm going to completely wing it. I'm going to talk through the places that I've gone to. I'm going to read some poetry from those places. I'm going to hopefully take you to exactly where I was at those particular times, talk to you about some of the people that I've met. It very much is going to be... how can I say this? It's going to be as it comes, right? Because I don't believe in authenticity, and I don't believe in editing too much. So, as I always believe in, the first take is always the best. So I may swear, I may get some words wrong, but you know what? That's okay, because if nothing else, this is Katains vlog for me. This is my travel vlog, and I know a lot of my friends have been asking me to do it. So here I am. I'm just sort of throwing it out there and giving it a go. So to talk a little bit about how this all started to happen, I'm not sure if you've read the Celestine Prophecy, but over the last sort of 18 months I've been living my life very much in that space, guided, understanding the synchronicities, the numbers, the people, the sort of sequences of events. I knew that I was getting a very strong calling to go traveling. So I basically got divorced and then had a bit of a time to kind of, play around and spend the money when I was over in Indonesia and stuff. And then it was time to get serious about my actual traveling because I had a soul mission to do. And in fact, before I came away, I had a tarot reading done, and it was very much get back onto your mission, get back onto your purpose, and get traveling. So here I was finding, where am I supposed to go? The universe kept sending me lots of different countries. So obviously every decision would have been the right decision. But I asked, okay, so I was in the camper van in Australia, and I said, Grandmother Earth, Grandfather Sky, all that's around me, all that's within, please, after this meditation, bring forth the country that I'm supposed to start with. Did a quick meditation that night and got up in the morning, and the first thing I saw when I opened the curtains was this guy walking past with his surfboard. Not uncommon, we were in a beach town, and then he puts his t-shirt on and it's just got Patagonia on the back. Now Patagonia had becoming such a strong sign for me, so it was there it was. That afternoon I went ahead and I booked my travel, my flights, and before I went in there I knew that the guy I met at Flight Center was the one to help me, guide to my whole trip at the beginning. So we booked flights to LA, and then I was to land in Buenos Aires on the 5th of January. So my flights left Australia on the 1st, and let me tell you, it was bloody scary. When I first decided to go traveling at 21, I remember those doors closing, and I remember seeing my mum and dad in tears, but stiff upper lip and all that because, British blood. And then there was me, and I basically was walking through those doors. And yeah, I remember thinking, what have I done? I don't know what I'm walking into. And all these sort of areas of fear came in. Anyway, me being me, the strength that I have inside, I remember just sitting down, having a beer, some Dutch courage, as they say, getting on a plane and going and landing in Australia. And then I stayed there for 17 years and didn't end up traveling, but that's another story. So here I was, same scenario, without my parents this time though, with my beautiful friend Carl. And Carl and I had spent every single day together for about 3 months. So it was really hard to sort of, let us sort of part ways and let us go, but we knew we had to. That was a very distinct message, and we both were feeling it. So here I am, 38 now. So I've had, again, a beer, and it was early in the morning. So, don't judge me, but flying isn't always my favorite thing to do. And I get on the plane, and yeah, I sat there, big, huge, deep breaths, lots of tears coming up, but knowing that I was about to, have the most incredible journey. So yeah, usual story. I hadn't watched films for a couple of months, so I managed to, watch films the whole way through. All credit to the woman who sat next to me. She was trying to sleep, and I was up and down like a yo-yo because I promised to drink water on the plane. Hang on, I'm just going to adjust my. This is what I mean. I'm sat outside in my hotel, and the sun's gone down, and now I'm just about to adjust the light on my app. Ooh, there we go. So yeah, and the speed, so it lets more light in. I've been learning sort of photography things along the way while I've been traveling. Okay, so yeah, obviously very boring on the plane for lots of hours. Got to LA, and wow, how long ago was it I went to America? A long time ago. The big wide world. Here I am landing into LA, and straight away the energy of the people was just, I don't know, there's this energy when you land in airports in America. It's kind of like this, they're not allowed to smile almost, so it's quite intimidating. But me being me, here I was with my 10 kg backpack that, I chose so I didn't have to check in any luggage. And also I was trying to sort of make sure I was not harboring too much baggage while I was traveling as well. So there's a bit of metaphorical stuff there, as well as my evolution from my soul of letting things go. So yeah, landing into LA, and nothing really interesting happened. But it was raining, I do know that. And as I got out of the airport, it was raining pretty hard and windy, and then as I'm waiting for a taxi, the sky started to clear, which was awesome. Anyway, I got in the cab. Guy took me to my first point of call. I was sharing in a place called Podshare, which is just near Venice Beach. Again, I'd never been to LA, so I didn't know what really to expect. I booked the Podshare at the airport because they told me I couldn't land unless I had a destination. So yeah, did that. The guy kicked me out. I paid my money, and there I was going, okay, I've got no local SIM card and no one's answering the doorbell. I have no idea where I am. Anyway, I was like, okay, please can someone come and open the door? About 10 minutes later they did, and I got shown my room. And basically the way it works there is that you choose your bed that's available, you write your name up in chalk, which is kind of cute, and then they sort of talk through the routines of when they get up. And Podshare was also a place where people who were, it was not, they weren't on the streets, but they were living there as part of their living arrangements as well. So there was a bit of a curfew and things like that, but really, really lovely place. Anyway, threw all my bags down, had a quick shower, decided I was going to go and explore. So there I was. I put my headphones in. I'm pretty sure it was like Red Hot Chili Peppers that was coming on, and I started to walk through the streets. And wow, the first thing I remember seeing was all these dome tents. Now, I had been told that Venice Beach was bad for homeless, but I wasn't really prepared for it to be all the way back. So there's a square near where the hostel was, and the tents basically surrounded all the way. So I walked and did my usual thing, said hello to people, smiled, never underestimate a smile. And yeah, I got to the beach. I was a bit hungry, so here we go, walking down Venice Beach. Within seconds, I'm wearing my really bright, colourful pants, and within seconds, I am approached by all these rap artists and all these reggae artists from Jamaica, and they're selling me their CDs. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm handing out $20 bills, and it was quite full on. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, I finally managed to walk away and sort of said that, I wasn't really interested in going out anywhere that night, and got to the first street vendor, and I went, you know what, these smell amazing. And they were empanadas, and I knew I was heading to Argentina, so I thought I'd better try my first empanada. And I ordered 3, and also an iced coffee. Did I forget I was in America? For a brief second, yes, I did. Bring in the litre of iced coffee and 3 huge empanadas, which were incredible. But it just made me have this remembrance of when I was younger and I used to go to America, thinking of how wasteful some of this food is. And drink. So I sat in the park and I watched the incredible skateboarders, realized I couldn't drink all of my drinks. So that ended up going to someone who was less fortunate. And then I ended up walking on the beach, and no one was on this beach. You know, I've been told it's a really, really popular beach, and there was no one. And it was a really, really strange feeling. So miles and miles of beautiful white sand. The waves were pretty strong, and then the sky was blue, but it had this incredible cloud. Now, as you go through, I guess, the spiritual journeys and evolution, you start to realize that all is not what we've been told, and there's things like UFOs and galactics that exist. And I almost felt like this huge cloud in front of me, and I will put a photo at the end of this video, but I felt like this was most definitely a ship of some sort. Sorry about that harsh light. Now I need to change the other one. I just realized I could switch my laptop on. I will get better at these, I promise, but like I said, I'm just trying to start. So there we go. So this big cloud that looked like a cloaked ship was there right in front of me. And I sat down and I just remember breathing really, really deep into this moment of just, holy smokers, I've actually made it. I've made it on my first day. I'm here in America. And I was like, I'm nearly 40 and I'm having a gap year. What is going on? And I got very, very emotional. I was tired, and probably the half a litre of caffeine didn't help either. But a lot came up for me. I cried a lot, and it needed to be released. So I just kind of just let it flow anyway. I did some breath work. I was one with the ocean and the sand, and then I started to walk along the beach, and I was walking, and then my feet just stopped, and I looked up, and because I've learned when your feet stop and you can't walk any further, it's because there's something for you to look at. And there was a blue tent there, and it was not really pitched very well. Anyway, I tried to walk past it, and yeah, like I said, my feet wouldn't let me. It was like guiding me towards going to see who was in this tent. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, okay, divinely protected, I call you in angels now to make sure that, you know, I'm safe. And I stopped in front of the front tent, and there was this guy in there, incredibly beautiful, blue eyes, red hair, beard, very disheveled, obviously been sleeping rough for a while. And yeah, as I look down, he's got a knife which has been open, and also he's got a needle and thread in his hand. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I saw that knife, I had to breathe very deep and once again just call in the protection. And then I see him darning his socks, and then I look down and I see that his trolley is just completely broken with the wheels of what he's been pulling around, obviously from going from place to place. So he's got the most amazing sunset happening in front of him, and you know, as the sun was going down, it was just highlighting the tears in his eyes, and getting quite emotional thinking about it now. And I was talking to him, and he just couldn't talk back, which was understandable. You know, I learned a lot about the homeless society while I was in Venice Beach, and one thing I do know is that they are moved on all the time, and they don't really get much support at all. So when they do find a spot on the beach, you know, they're not there the next day. They're not allowed to stay. And people sometimes come around at night to move them on as well, which I'm conflicted with. You know, you've got this massive strip of beach, and you've got lots of people on the streets, and I'm sure that Mother Nature would rather keep them safe, and give them a place to be able to pitch their tent. Anyway, I spoke, and you know, I asked him if he wanted to go and get some coffee or something warm. He just kept staring at me, and it was like he was communicating with me through his eyes, and I could see his pain. the reading I was getting from him was that he just didn't feel worthy enough to receive, something really bad had happened in his life, and he was really struggling with this this woman in front of him that was basically showing him kindness. And that also has been a massively common theme when I have been, I guess, moved into the situation where I've been able to talk with people who have been living on the streets. So yeah, I stayed with him for about 20 minutes, and I just sat, and I just sat with him basically and watched the sunset. And as I was leaving, I said, look, I have to go, but please take this money. And he just kept looking at me, and he just kept shaking his head. But I knew that there was a point where he's just like, he wanted to, like, there was times where he would look at me and then pause and then look down at the money and then shake his head. So it was this energy of I can't take it. I'm not able to. I'm not worthy. Anyway, I did what I thought was best, and I just said, look, if you want to give this to someone else, then that's fine. Or if you just want to leave it on the beach, then that's also fine. But I want you to know that this is a gift from God. And I put some money in the tent. And I have no idea what he did or whether he did anything with it. I pray that as I walked away from that tent, he picked it up and then went and got some hot food. Anyway, this was a huge thing. Here we are, day one, and this is what's happened. And I walked off, and more tears came up, and then the rain started to come again, and I kind of was just in deep thought, and I just sat in the sand. And I love to be in the rain, and I did, and I sat with his tears. I sat with him releasing his emotions. I could tell he was a very, very powerful soul. These incredible ancient soul eyes coming at, like, staring at me, talking to me, was just really intense. Anyway, I kind of cleared that emotional side and realized that I'm gonna have to be strong while I was being here, because I'd already seen a heap of tents, and that was only one street. So yeah, the rain started to sweep round, and so I was like, I have to get back very quickly, because I didn't really have many changes of clothes. And as I'm walking back, I see there's just people that are carrying their backpacks or their tents, or they're just everywhere as I'm walking back. So it wasn't just the strip of tents that I saw, it was everywhere. People coming back to their tents, people trying to find a doorway, being moved on. It was really quite eye-opening. And I got back to the pod share, and I just had a cup of tea with a couple of the guys, and had to really dissect what had happened through the day, and just kind of go, okay, well, where can I be of service here? I'm not trying to get my help all over everyone, but where can I be of service? And then that night, this guy, Mickey, who I was opposite, we started talking, and Mickey told me that he'd also been on the streets, and he'd only recently sort of got himself a job, and he was able to sort of come to the pod share. But he also told me straight away that he wasn't happy working where he was working in the tourism game. So, again, I'm going to go into that in a couple of other videos, but that was my first day, was basically seeing some pretty dark moments, and hearing some pretty huge conversations, and having some huge conversations. And that night, a woman turned up who had been through an absolute nightmare of a situation, and she bought these sacks of food, and she said to me, I don't know why I bought all of this. I was in sort of anxiety mode, and I've been kicked out, and I've got nowhere to put it now. And so we are trying to jam it into the freezer, and not all of it went in. And I said to her, I don't know how you feel about this, but there are a shitload of people out there who need food, and it's raining and it's cold, and how would you feel if we cooked up, these pizzas and these triangle things, spinach and ricotta things, and all these kind of snacky foods? How would you feel if we cooked those up and took them out tomorrow morning, because it was really late, and she agreed. So that was great, and that is going to be where I am going to start tying up the video, because that is the next kind of installment. But yeah, that night I connected with quite a few people in the hostel, and in LA, green weed is legal. So I had a bit of a smoke with a couple of them, and just, broke down any kind of barriers that there were, just talking about their stories. And like I said, day one, and already realized how much pain there was, not just in my own building, but all around it. So bit of a shock, I have to say, going from living in the van in the beautiful parts of New South Wales and Queensland, and driving from Queensland to Melbourne, and then obviously, being in Bali and Indonesia was pretty heavy too. But yeah, a bit of a shock for this to be my first day. So I had a shower, washed off, restored my energy, had a meditation, and then was just praying to go to sleep, because obviously jet lag happens when you move to different time zones. So I was definitely able to sleep. I slept so well, but I set my alarm really, really early, because I wanted to get up and make sure that I was able to go to the local cafe and order everything I needed to order, and then cook at the same time. So next episode I'm going to talk about that. But anyway, thank you for bearing with me through a few little hiccups, and as I said, it will get better, but I have to be the change I want to see. And for me, perfectionism is something that I've been trying to really break free, and the pattern, and getting in my head all the time rather than being in my heart, as to why I've actually come on this journey. And a bit about my story and the incredible people that I have met was more of a driver of just going, you know what, Kat, just do it. Just freaking do it. It doesn't matter how perfect it is. What matters is the content and the stories. And yeah, so thank you again, and tune in for the next episode.